Namaste. Today's subject is loyalty, the first law of God. And to begin with, we're going to consult Swami Kriyananda.
When you engage in the struggle, the battle of life, and it is a battle, somebody said to me the other day, all I want is peace. Well, sure, everybody would like peace. But peace is not won by giving up the struggle. Peace is not won by running away. Peace is not won by surrendering. You must stand up to truth. You must stand up for truth. And if I remember Yogananda saying to one of his women disciples that if somebody were to say to you, I saw Yogananda dead drunk on Main Street the other day, you would say, oh, really? Is that so? Because you like peace, you will agree with anyone. But you've got to stand up for what you believe in. Loyalty is absolutely essential if you're going to grow. It doesn't mean you have to get into a big fight with him, but just be very firm and tell him you're wrong. And stand up for your beliefs and stand up for the people to whom you're loyal. Stand up for your principles. This is a very important part. If you don't have a straight spine, metaphorically especially, you will not be able to go through life freely. People who go too smoothly with the currents will never achieve the victory that we're talking about here. Because everything finally depends on being absolutely firm as to the final reality. To be loyal to God means to be loyal to truth. To be loyal to truth means to be loyal to everything that is right, morally, ethically, in every other way. Stand up for what you believe in. And you don't have to fight necessarily, but you have to fight in some way. For example, I have chosen to fight against delusion. I've chosen to fight for truth by explaining the truths and the mistakes that people make, and this has been my life battle. I could have said, no, I'd rather go to a cave and meditate. In fact, that's what I wanted to do. It's my guru who pushed me this way, but I have always wanted to help people to know how to get out of the suffering that they go through. It just pains me to see so many people, even when they think they're happy, they're not really happy. I remember when I got Autobiography of a Yogi, it was in this bookstore in New York, and I paid for it and was holding it, and this friend of mine from high school I just happened to meet him in the store, and he was talking about the wonderful future that he had, and in radio at that time, television hadn't come along yet. And I just was clutching this book more and more closely to him. The happiness he was thinking of was to me hell. I couldn't imagine a worse way of living than a compromise with the ideals that I was seeking. And so I have fought very hard all my life, but not with swords, not with bombs, not with cannons. I have fought with truth. And I'm very keen to help people to understand that there are certain ways of living that will give you what you want. I don't ever try to convert people. I've always said to my audiences that I'm only trying to convert you to your own higher self. I don't care what guru you follow, what path you follow, but I do want you to understand that by love of God, you will find who you really are and what you really want. But if you turn your back on truth, you will suffer. And what's the point of suffering? It hurts me when you suffer, because I'm in you too. So we have this need, each one of us, to get out of the darkness. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, "O Arjuna, get away from my ocean of suffering and misery."
The subject of loyalty, the first law. Wow, that's big. I didn't really grow up in an environment that promoted loyalty. because I grew up with people that I didn't respect. Now, in retrospect, I should have respected them just because they are part of God's creation. But that doesn't mean we agree with what they do. And this is a very subtle point which is connected to loyalty. Just because you're loyal to someone doesn't mean you have to agree with what they do. And just because you agree with someone doesn't necessarily mean that you should be loyal to them. Kriyanandaji said something essential in there. He said, loyalty to truth. Well, of course, it's a challenge to know what truth is. The ultimate truth is God. The only place that we will ultimately find happiness is in God. All other paths in life lead to temporary ups and downs. You can't serve your way to happiness. You can't name and fame your way to happiness. You can't use your senses either in self-indulgence or even in service of others. By themselves, that doesn't lead to freedom. Loyalty is the first law because it's only once we have committed ourselves 100% to being interested in happiness will we ever find it. God doesn't, they sometimes describe God as a jealous God. God's jealous of your other thoughts. That's the wrong word to use. God doesn't experience jealousy in omnipresent consciousness. God expresses jealousy through limited human understanding, but not in God's pure form. God is not jealous, but God requires us to give ourselves 100%. Krishna says in the Gita, give yourself to me. He doesn't say give some of yourself to me. Doesn't say give me 5 minutes a day. Doesn't say that we can do whatever we want whenever we want to do it, but if we give a donation sufficient size, everything will be okay. It's not like that. It's not like that even for human enjoyments. We have to, yes, some human enjoyments come to people, but there's always, if you could see the string of events that happen, there's always a reason why those things came to that person. And the reason why God comes to a devotee is because that devotee is loyal. Loyal means giving your attention, giving your commitment. You've got to be committed. And that commitment has got to be based on love. It can't be based on coercion. A slave can't be loyal to the master because they're slaves. There's compulsion. You can only be loyal when you give it freely of your own heart. When I came to Ananda, I had experienced previously the same kinds of relationships that most people have. And the people I liked and who liked me, we were friends. And the people who I didn't like or who didn't like me, we weren't friends. And life was a mixture of those things. And if I didn't know you, I wasn't aware of you and I didn't much care about you. It was nothing against you, but when I came to Ananda, I saw something completely different. And a concept of awareness that I had never been exposed to. One of the things that Kriyanandaji said was, when you suffer, I suffer. Wow. To recognize that all beings are our own self. This is a completely different view. The recognition that in order to be loyal to truth, we must enter into that universal perspective. We must get out of the ego, which is not truth, It's a very limited expression, and identify ourselves through commitment to that omnipresent perspective. And that perspective is the death, is the annihilation of what we've been thinking was me. Because I thought that it was me against the world, instead of I am the world. I am the universe. I think one of Swamiji's first books was called Yours, the Universe. Our own true self is omnipresent bliss. If we want that, if we want a little bit of peace, you can, if you just meditate 15 minutes a day, twice a day regularly, or even half an hour once a day, and do pretty much what anything you want else, other than things that completely destroy your, I mean, if you're an alcoholic or a drug addict or something, that's going to take control of you. But if you live what we would describe as a normal life and just meditate a few minutes a day, you will experience dramatically more peace than the average person. And that is, that's something. But that's not everything. That is not everything. And it's interesting, we talk about high ideals, but we don't often see them being manifest. At Ananda, I saw them being manifest and found, of course, Kriyanandaji was the example, but his example led to many other people living in the same spirit. And then you begin to think that, well, if you only saw him doing it, then you would go, well, of course, he's him. But when you see a group of people doing it, you realize that it's a capability that more than one person has. And I have met numerous people. I think there's probably 200 or 300 people that I know from growing up at Ananda spiritually that in an instant would volunteer to give up their lives. For Kriyananda, for sure. But I'll bet you they'd probably be willing to give it up for almost anybody. Maybe everybody. Fortunately, we're not called to do that too often. But life completely changes when we make our commitment to God's view of life. And then you begin to free yourself from thinking that the little I and mine is where we're going to, who we are, and where we're going to experience well-being. There was a time when I had, at Ananda, when I had built a home. And through a series of circumstances, I built this home and then lived in it for 3 months and then moved to a different part of the village into a little cabin. And then eventually, I never lived in the house again. And eventually I decided to sell it, my interest in it. And so there became this controversy as to the value of the home. And there was one person in particular who had done his evaluation of what the home was worth. And then I had basically given them exactly what it cost me and my most minimum cost of living while I built it. I didn't have any construction costs of other people building the home. Any help that I had received, well, almost. I did hire a guy for a few days, I think, but almost 98% of the construction costs was me or volunteers helping me. Anyway, it was interesting how Swamiji resolved this tug of war. he said to the person in the village who was making this dream, he says, well, you know, Vijay's our friend. I don't want to lose my friends. Pay him. He couldn't have cared less about the justifications of the dollars and the cents. He just said, I don't want to lose a friend. And to me, that I have observed over the years that this was his basic first response to all people in all circumstances was, here's a friend. What can I do to help my friend, to keep my friend, to support my friend? That is an act of loyalty. Now, take it to another degree. Take it to a situation where somebody is against you. Somebody who you love is against you. And trying to dissuade you from following the path that you believe is right for you. How do you feel about it? What is your reaction to that? And do you allow them to sway you away from truth as you perceive it? These are challenges, and this can happen in the workplace. The boss wants you to lie, to make a sale, or to achieve some business goal. That's a very common situation. Could be family. Could be your family doesn't want you to pursue the spiritual life with the dedication that you would like to give it. It could be that you're a member of an organization and they decide that you are a threat to their power, and so they kick you out. Oops. That's something that Kriyanandaji experienced. And what was his reaction to being booted out? Initially, it was despair. It was no understanding. It was shock. It was seriously. He went to the furthest reaches of his ability to cope with being thrown out of the family, and unexpectedly, with no opportunity to defend himself. It took him some time to get to find his feet, to pick himself up. But the result of that effort, that commitment to truth, and most importantly, to the Guru. Not every disciple has truly made the Guru discipleship bond. There was even a minister at Mount Washington. Well, he was at one of the other centers, but while Master was still in the body, and he was a minister, and then he left, and somebody was so shocked and said to him, "Sir, I can't believe this has happened. How can he be gone?" And Master said, "He was never in. He was never in." It's not so much what it looks like. I remember, here's another example of the extension of Kriyanandaji's willingness to take a chance on people. I remember he said to me in regards to one person, I won't say who, at Ananda, and who had a very responsible position. And he said to me in confidence, I'm not saying the person's name, so I think I'm holding to that confidence. I don't trust that person. And this is a person who had been at Ananda for a long time. I don't trust that person. I'm going, well, that's interesting. Why are you telling me this? I get a little paranoid about it. But he said, and then I observed, having this information, I observed how did he treat this person for the rest of his life. The fellows, the person is still there. To be careful. But he never took this person out of their position of responsibility. He allowed nature to take its course. He didn't feel the need to impose his will on every situation. And he was being a loyal friend to this person, allowing them the opportunity to be in an uplifting environment. I'm sure this person had other good qualities that allowed that to happen. But when Kriyanandaji was booted out of Self-Realization Fellowship, they were nasty to him. They really were nasty. And over the years, they continued to be that way. And these are good people. Don't misunderstand me. Many of the souls are great souls. But they have this like a blinder. The horses, they have the little blinders sometimes so they can't see. They had the blinder when it came to Kriyananda. And his response to that was love. And they frustrated him. There was no issue in his life that ever came close to penetrating his peace of mind than that relationship. But he was loyal. He was loyal to them. He didn't agree with them, but he was loyal to them. He loved them. He forgave them. He embraced them in every way that, he never gave up trying to mend the relationship. If we want to know God, or as much of God as we can in this lifetime, we have to give ourselves to God. When we take the Kriya Yoga initiation, we take a vow to practice regularly and with devotion. We say, I will commit myself to this. If we want to truly have a guru, we've got to give ourselves to it 100%. And if we do, we can't go wandering off every time some interesting thing comes by. Even Master wrote that the people would come, they'd stay at Mount Washington. Can you imagine? You're living in the presence of an avatar, and some lecturer comes by, and next thing you know, you're off following them. How crazy is that? How powerful is the world's Maya's ability to distract us? And it can happen anywhere, anytime. We have to put both feet in the boat that we've been given, and stay in it. That doesn't mean we don't value other boats, other paths, other teachings. It doesn't mean that we don't love them. We love any truth. We love truth wherever it is manifest. But we have to commit ourselves to the boat that God has given us to cross over the ocean of delusion. And if we wander from that boat, we will lose our fastest route to happiness. No, we're not lost forever, but we may be lost for this incarnation or numerous other incarnations. The thing is that we are oftentimes lured in by short-term gratifications, even spiritually. At Ananda, Ananda in the early years was on the guru circuit, meaning that many of the Indian teachers came to America and traveled from ashram to ashram. And they had no problems picking up a new disciple from another ashram. They always, and not only that, they tried to, many of them tried to get Swamiji to convert to them, to follow him. But Swamiji was never tempted by any of that. And he was just completely, had given himself to Master. And this is what we're being asked to do. when we make that commitment to the guru-disciple relationship, we are saying, I'm in this till my last breath. And I'm giving myself to it. And I will, as Kriyanandaji said, I will stand up for this. We have to stand up for this. The world can be bombing us with financial disaster, with health disaster, with relationship disasters, with, it doesn't matter what it is. We have to stand up for the truth of our relationship with God, the only lasting, real, core reality that there is. We've got to commit ourselves to it. And so this is loyalty. This is really our commitment and our love. And that when we're committed to truth and we express love in that consciousness, then that truth, our awareness of that truth grows until it does encompass everyone, as Kriyanandaji said. When you suffer, I suffer. But that's based on the truth of oneness in truth, not on I see myself here, you, and I see yourself over there. We're separate. If we want to experience that universal potential, we have to commit ourselves to it. We get it when if it came to creating scientific breakthrough, creating artistic breakthroughs, creating technological breakthroughs, creating or breakthroughs in any, you understand commitment. I won't give up until I accomplish this goal. All of the great scientists have followed that. They just didn't give up until they achieved the goal that they were seeking. And those are little goals. I don't care how, the light bulb was great. The inventor of the wheel, good job. But that's nothing compared to everything. So, keep this in mind. Keep this essential perspective in mind that if we want to truly know God, we have to give ourselves 100% to that relationship. And it's in that giving, and only in that giving of our heart, of our beings, of our lives, that we will find the ultimate reward coming to us. It's only through that we will find the peace and joy that we seek. Namaste.